everyone, and welcome back to Walcott Fine Art. So recently I received a question from one of my subscribers, and this person wanted to know if I could do a video on how to mix a really good bright turquoise. And because they were having trouble doing it and couldn't find any other videos on this subject, so I'm here to address that issue and why the person was having problems. So let's get started. So, like I said, the question to me was, how do you mix a really good bright turquoise? And the short answer is, you can't. And the reason for that being that way is that a really good bright, clean turquoise or aqua color is actually a primary. It's not a mixed color. So I posted a video way back at the beginning when I started this channel on true primaries. So if you have not seen that video, then I recommend you go and watch it, and it will fill you in a little bit more depth on what the true primaries are and how they work. But in that video, what I explain is that turquoise, a really bright and saturated turquoise, is actually a primary color. So it cannot be mixed. And what you think of as blue, like this kind of blue, like cobalt blue, or this blue on this tape here, which we're taught as kids is a primary color, this color is actually not. You can mix this from turquoise and magenta. So I will put a link to my video on the true primaries in the description below. So if you haven't seen that, I encourage you to go and watch that. But in today's video, we'll concentrate specifically on the turquoise. So this turquoise that I have out here, or teal or aqua or whatever you want to call it, is actually Gamblin's Cobalt Teal. Now, sometimes you will find this color labeled Cobalt Teal. In certain manufacturers, it will actually be Pigment Green 50. But Gamblin's version is Pigment Blue 28, so it's a variation of Cobalt Blue. So the Pigment Blue 28 Cobalt Teal is the one that I prefer, because it's a little bit more blue, and it's more of the true, what they call cyan color on the color space that makes that primary color. Because the true primaries are cyan, yellow, and magenta, which is what they also use in the printing industry to print colored photographs in magazines and stuff. And the same color mixing applies to oil paint, because when we mix oil paint, we are employing a method that's called subtractive mixing, and that's as opposed to additive mixing, which is mixing colored lights. So when you're mixing pigments, then every pigment you add to the mixture subtracts a little bit more light from the total and reflects only the colors back to us that are ICs. So that's why it's called subtractive mixing. So your subtractive primaries are turquoise, lemon yellow, and magenta. So let's do a little mixing here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now I put out some cobalt blue here. This is a single pigment cobalt blue, and this is probably more in line with what you think of as blue. And so you were probably taught when you were a kid, in kindergarten or first grade, whatever, that this kind of blue was one of the primaries that you mix with red and yellow to make all the other colors. When in fact, that's actually not true. Your turquoise is your primary. And you can mix this shade of blue from this turquoise and a tiny bit of magenta. So let's take a look at that. So I've got a little bit of quinacridone magenta here that I'm going to mix with the cobalt teal. And you'll see that now that's moving toward what you think of as a true blue. So if I mix that with a little bit of white to lighten it up, you can see the color a little better. See that? So I just made what you would call blue from a mixture of cyan or turquoise and magenta. So this turquoise is actually your primary color. You cannot mix this. No matter how hard you try, you can mix a kind of a turquoise, but it won't be as bright and clean as the single pigment primary color, this cobalt teal. Now this mixture, the blue that I made from the teal and the magenta, will not be as bright and clean as a blue as the single pigment cobalt blue, because again, this is subtractive mixing. This is taking more light out of the spectrum than the single pigment is. So your brightest, cleanest colors are always going to be your single pigments. So now the question is, okay, I don't have any cobalt teal. How can I mix a turquoise? Well, you can approximate it. It won't be as bright and as saturated as a single pigment teal or turquoise right out of the tube like this, but you can come somewhat close. And your best colors for mixing that are going to be phthalo green and phthalo blue. So you can start actually with plain phthalo green by itself, which is a very bluish green. So if I just take that and I mix a little white in with it, you get kind of a greenish turquoise color. But it does definitely lean toward the green side, more so. So if you want to make that more of an aqua turquoise color, then you could add some of the phthalo blue to it. Now, phthalo blue and phthalo green are transparent modern organic pigments, so they're going to be much more saturated. So let's add a little bit more green to that. Okay. So then we're going to need some white in there to bring up the color. Okay, so see, so I can sort of mix a turquoise by mixing phthalo blue and phthalo green with white. But the thing to keep in mind is if you mix a turquoise with those three colors, you've got, first of all, you have white in there, so that's going to make it opaque. And second of all, you've got three different pigments in here now, so this is a pretty nice turquoise. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but when you look at it with your eyes in person, this is a pretty nice turquoise. So you can mix a pretty good one from phthalo blue, phthalo green, and white, but it's never going to be as bright and clean and saturated as the single pigment cobalt teal. And what I'll do is I'll take a better photo of this with my camera, my still camera, and put it at the end of the video, because that you'll see the colors better than you will with my video camera. So I'm just adding some white to this to make it a little lighter. So when I compare these two side by side, I can see that they're pretty similar. So even though the short answer to your question is you can't mix turquoise, the better answer is you can mix a pretty good one from phthalo blue, phthalo green, and white. But if you want a really super in-your-face saturated turquoise color, then your best bet is going to be to go out and buy the cobalt teal. The Gamblin color is great. It's my favorite. That's the one that I like the best. And, you know, Gamblin is a fantastic product. Their oil paints are wonderful. And it is a little bit of expensive because it's a cobalt, you know, color. But this is the only single pigment turquoise that I know of on the market. You do see mixed ones, but they're going to have the same issues as just mixing it yourself from these three colors. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of which direction to go in if you want to mix an aqua turquoise color. So I hope that this video was helpful to you and that you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Take care. so much for watching. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button so you won't miss the next video. And why not spread the joy? Be sure to share my videos on your favorite social media. Don't forget to head on over to my website, walcottfineart.com, where you can see my art, read my blog, or when you join my newsletter list, you can win free art. Every month, I'll choose a lucky winner from my email list, and that person will receive a mini original oil painting. There's a chance to win every month, so be sure to sign up today so you don't miss out. Plus, you'll get my fun newsletter. See you next time!